Good day, everyone, and welcome to Quest for Alpha. Most people assume that someone becomes interested in trading because they hate their job. They imagine someone waking up every Monday morning where they dread for their commute, resenting their boss, and they're trying to search for the fastest possible way out. But that was never really my story. I never hated engineering. Of course, like anyone else, I have gone through periods of frustration. There have been difficult projects, stressful deadlines, organizational decisions, things that I have disagreed with, and days where I wonder, why do I want to do this for the next 20 years? But overall, I like what I do. I get to solve difficult technical problems. I get to help develop medical devices that can restore dignity to patients and help physicians diagnose diseases. And this is a meaningful work for me. So I was not trying to escape a career I hated. I was trying to escape the fact that it was my only option. And that distinction changed everything. When I started, I followed the traditional path. I went to school, I worked hard, I earned advanced degrees, and I built a career. Eventually, I reached an income level that, when I was younger, would have represented a success. But once I got there, I began seeing the arrangement differently. I realized that I was making money because an employer was paying me to provide value to a company. And there is nothing wrong with that. This is how employment works. But the more I read, observed, and experienced, the more I understood that what we often call a safe career is not necessarily safe. At least in the United States, most professional jobs are not tenure positions. You can perform well, you can act responsibly, deliver results, and you can still lose your positions. The company may recognize, the company may reorganize, leadership may change, funding may disappear, a product may be canceled. The economy itself may slow down, and your role may be eliminated for reasons that have very little to do with your individual performance. And sometimes it does not really owe you much of an explanation at all. And that realization made me uncomfortable. It made me think twice about what I'm doing. I had spent years building my ability to earn a living through engineering, but nearly all of that earning power still flowed through one structure, and that was my employment. So I began asking myself the question, what happens when someone else decides that they no longer need the value that I provide? And that was the real problem I was hoping that trading could potentially solve. It was not simply about making more money. It was about developing another way to support my life, another source of income, another option, another form of control. I did not want to stop being an engineer. And this is an important fact to clarify, because I did not want to stop practicing engineering. I wanted to continue solving technical problems. I wanted to continue to build products and contributing to work that could improve people's lives. But I wanted engineering to become something that I choose, not something I was financially unable to walk away from. And there is a significant difference between those two lives. In one life, you wake up and you go to work because you need the next paycheck. In the other, you may wake up and do exactly the same work, but you're doing it because you have consciously decided that the work deserves your time. So from the outside, those two people may look identical. They may have the same title, they sit in the same meetings and earn the same salary. Internally, however, their experience is completely different. One is dependent and the other one has optionality. And I felt in love with trading because it appears to have offered that optionality. When I looked at the mathematics behind it, it was almost irresistible to be attracted by trading. Imagine someone had offered me a reliable method of earning $2,500 per month while trading for only a few hours each week. Would I have taken it? Yeah, absolutely. I probably would have considered leaving my job eventually. And honestly, even today, if such a reliable, repeatable opportunity existed, it would still be an incredibly attractive offer. Because the mathematics are hard to ignore. Suppose you're making $2,500 per month while working approximately 5 hours per week. That is an enormous income by American professional standards. But the return on your time is extraordinary. A person might earn $10,000, $12,000, or even $15,000 per month from a full-time career, but that requires 40 or 50 hours every week, along with commuting, preparation, mental recovery, the ongoing responsibility that comes with the position, and so much more. trading seemed to offer a completely different equation. It was a less maybe total income in this example, but dramatically more freedom per hour worked. And then there was the location freedom. If all you needed is a computer and an internet connection, then you're no longer limited to living near the office, one industry, or one expensive American city. An income of $2,500 to $4,000 per month might not create a good life for you in Boston or New York City, but in parts of Europe, Latin America, Asia, it could support a very different kind of life. You might live in another country, you can experience another culture, you can spend time close to your family, you can learn a new language, and you can raise a child in a very different environment. And perhaps the most attractive part was the time freedom, because if trading required only a few hours each week to make this much amount of money, then the rest of my time could be used for something else. I could spend more time with my family, I could learn another skill, I could build a company, I could design a product, I could solve engineering, business, or marketing problems that I have never encountered before. And I could challenge myself in new ways and eventually create something that provides real value to other people. So for me, trading was never supposed to become the purpose of my life. It was supposed to fund the freedom that will allow me to discover that purpose more fully. That was the dream. And it was a very seductive dream. The problem is that once you begin imagining the future, it becomes difficult to separate what is possible from what is probable. You end up seeing people online who appear to be living exactly the life you want. They trade from anywhere, they control their time, they talk about independence, they show results that suggest the problem has already been solved. And then you begin to imagine yourself living their life. And you start doing the calculations. If I can make this much money with $1,000 invested, what could I make when I invest $10,000? If I can make a certain percentage this month, what happens if I repeat it every month? If this strategy works on a monthly chart, then why couldn't I apply the same logic to a weekly chart? And if it works on a weekly chart, why not a daily chart? And then why not an hourly chart or a minute chart? Why wait years for a long-term investment to mature when I may make a few $100s this week? The progression feels logical, and that is what makes it dangerous. Something can be conceptually very simple, but it can be extraordinarily difficult to execute consistently. And when you desperately want the results, you begin to push against that reality. I personally moved towards lower timeframes. I tried strategies that required me to be available at very specific times. Sometimes the optimal trading window began around 9:30 a.m. in the morning, and that's exactly when I might be in an engineering meeting, reviewing a design, managing a team, or I'm solving a technical problem. The strategy may have worked for the person teaching it, but their life was not my life. They may have been able to spend hours studying charts every single day, and they may not have had a demanding full-time career. They may not have had a young family. They may have been able to arrange their entire day around the markets. I personally could not. Yet, instead of recognizing that the strategy did not fit my circumstances, I sometimes would treat the mismatch as a personal failure. I thought that I needed to work harder, find a way around it, study more, find a better teacher, perhaps try another market, maybe tweak and adjust the time frame to fit my lifestyle, increase the leverage, or altogether maybe change the strategy. And so the freedom I wanted began creating the exact opposite experience. Instead of giving me time, trading consumed my attention. Instead of giving me peace, it created urgency. And of course, instead of creating optionality, which is what I really wanted, it became just another obligation I felt very compelled to master. This is one of the most difficult things to admit. Trading can become addictive even before someone consistently makes money from it. The addiction itself is not always to the trade itself. Sometimes it is an addiction to the imagined future, because you picture yourself becoming a different person. You imagine the country where you would live, the time you will spend with your family, the business you're going to build, the books you will read, and perhaps even the skills that you will learn, and ultimately it's the freedom that you will finally feel. And because you want that future to be true, you keep giving the pursuit more time. You tell yourself that other people have done it, and then you tell yourself, well, you have solved a lot of difficult problems before. You have succeeded academically, you have built a career, you have worked through technical challenges that initially may have appeared impossible. So why is trading any different? And at some point, it stopped being only about freedom. It became a challenge that I needed to win. Why is this so difficult? Why can't I solve it? Is there something that I'm missing? And that is where the journey became something deeper than finance. It became a confrontation with my own personal impatience, with my own ego and the emotions, with my desire to maintain control of myself, my tendency to believe that enough effort could produce the outcome that I want, and my difficulty that accepting that something can be possible while still being highly improbable. So trading began revealing parts of me that engineering had never really tested in quite the same way. I'd like to tell you that one day I woke up, I looked at the evidence and immediately understood the truth. But that is not what happened. The transition took years. Part of me continued believing that trading itself could provide the freedom, and I still believe that it can play a very significant role in creating freedom. But another part of me gradually understood that I was asking trading to do too much. I was asking it to create this financial security, location independence, time with my family, a new identity, my own personal growth, and entrepreneurial opportunity. I add to that meaning, purpose, and a control over the future. And that is an impossible burden to place on just one skill. Eventually, I had to accept that trading was not an escape plan. It was simply another skill. It was a difficult skill, narrow skill, a skill that may produce financial returns if practiced with discipline, patience, and consistency. But it is still only a skill, and it could not tell me who I was. It could not decide what work was meaningful to me. Basically, trading could not determine what kind of father, husband, engineer, or creator I wanted to become. It could not replace any of these things. Trading could support that life, but it could not design it for me. So what does trading mean to me today? Today, it plays a supporting role in my life. It is no longer where most of my attention goes. My work matters, my family matters, my health matters, and building, learning, and ultimately creating new things do matter to me. Trading has been designed to occupy today a minimum portion of that time, which is available outside those priorities. I now focus on an approach that fits my actual life rather than an imaginary one. That means operating on longer timeframes. It means thinking in months and years rather than minutes and hours. It means continuing to use traditional investment vehicles rather than pretending that trading should replace all of them. It also means avoiding excessive leverage. It means accepting that meaningful results take time to evaluate. It means being honest about what I know and what I do not know. I'm not presenting trading as a guaranteed source of income. I'm not claiming to have discovered a shortcut. I'm not suggesting that any past results prove what will happen in the future. What I'm doing right now is I'm simply developing a system that can coexist with my career, my responsibilities, and my values. And trading is no longer the center of this freedom strategy. It is just one supporting component with a much larger strategy. And that larger strategy includes a career. It includes traditional investment. It includes building useful skills, creating businesses, developing products, and also teaching, learning, and strengthening relationships. Because I do want to become increasingly capable of providing value without being dependent on one institution, one employer, and simply one source of income. If my son came to me when he is 30 years old and told me that trading would allow him to escape his career, I would not immediately encourage him, but I would not immediately discourage him either. I would just ask him, what is he actually trying to escape? Does he dislike his work? Perhaps his employer? Does he want more control of his schedule? Does he want to live somewhere else? Or is it because he wants to spend more time with his family or to build something of his own? Or is he simply attracted to the image of easy money and independence? All of these things are different problems and they do require different solutions. But what's also important to ask is whether he genuinely has an interest in trading, because not everybody does. Not everybody enjoys studying the markets, managing risk, dealing with uncertainty, looking at charts. And even among those who enjoy it, not everybody has the lifestyle that supports that type of trading that they are attempting. Escaping one career only to spend your life doing something you do not enjoy is not freedom. It is simply replacing one form of dependency with another. So before beginning the journey, he would need a broader understanding of himself. What does he value? What kind of problem does he want to work on? What kind of life is he looking forward to? And what role should money play in that life? Because without those answers, trading can become a beautifully packaged distraction from the question that actually matters. I still believe that trading can be useful. It can improve your understanding of markets. It can develop patience, discipline. It can teach you about risk, probability, and your own emotional behavior. And when approached responsibly, it may really contribute to a financial investment strategy that you can leverage. But trading is narrow in scope. The activity itself does not build a medical device. It does not teach a child. It does not create a product that improves someone's daily life. It does not automatically build a company or strengthen a community. For more individual traders, the immediate benefit is primarily personal. It's the possibility of improving their financial position. And I don't think there is anything inherently wrong with that, because financial security does matter, and providing for your family matters a lot. But if you're someone who wants to build and create and contribute, then trading alone will probably not satisfy that need. It certainly did not satisfy it for me. Trading promised to give me the time to provide value for something else. But at times, I allowed that pursuit of trading to consume the very time that I hoped it would eventually return to me. And that is the paradox. You can spend years pursuing freedom so intensively that the pursuit itself feels like another prison. The biggest mistake I made was not believing that trading could make me rich. The bigger mistake was believing that trading could single-handedly give me the life that I wanted, which included location freedom, financial freedom, time to learn and to travel, time to experience different cultures and to build companies. I might add time to solve new problems and to grow as an individual and provide value that's beyond the boundaries of one's job. And those desires were real, and they still are today. But trading was never really the complete answer. It was just one possible tool. And when you confuse a tool with a destination, then you can spend years optimizing for the wrong thing. So the question is not simply, can trading make me money? I think the better question to ask is, what do I believe that money will finally allow me to do? And once you have that answer, then you may discover that trading is only one of several ways to move forward with it. So perhaps you need to build a business. Maybe you need to develop a portable skill. Maybe you need to negotiate a different work arrangement. You can change employers. You can reduce your expenses. You can simply move to another city, or you can create something online. There are many, many different ways, of course. And then finally, you can combine a lot of these different things and strategies rather than expecting that there's one extraordinary strategy that will eventually rescue you. Because real freedom is rarely created by a single escape hatch, right? It is usually built through many different layers of optionality. So I want to wrap up here. I did not want to stop being an engineer. I wanted to choose engineering every day instead of needing engineering every day. And that is still the goal, at least for now. And if trading can support that goal without consuming my life, then it has a useful place within my overall strategy. But it is no longer my identity. It is no longer the answer to every problem that I have. And it is no longer carrying the weight of every future I hope to create. If trading disappeared tomorrow, then I would still want to build. I would still want to solve technical problems to create companies and products. I will still enjoy learning and helping others think a lot more clearly about their freedom, work, and money. Because trading does not define where I'm going. At its best, it may simply help me get there. So before you make a trading escape plan, ask yourself what you're actually trying to escape and what kind of life you're really trying to build for yourself. Because trading may help fund that life, but it cannot really tell you what that life should be. Thank you again for giving me your attention. If you like this video, please consider liking it on YouTube and think about subscribing to the channel. Until next time, take care.